they flooded here, they put a fish out. I said, well, no, we put the stuff in the hole. We did a hole, we put the stuff in, then we put a couple of fish in there.
Yeah, we're about ready to begin. I'll move these over. You can come and
You don't need the flowers.
You don't have to see me.
Take the flowers. I'm going to hide behind them. Take them away.
Take them away. Russell, take them away. You guys are on a tree.
I got a lot of them in the yard.
Okay, I'll put right around after this. You can't see them. All right. Flowers, thanks to Russell and Gardner's Farm. I'm John Lucas, and I'm welcoming you to a soft opening of the Friends of the Allen Madison House. Some of you are old friends, some of you, I think, should probably introduce yourselves. We could, starting from my left.
Benny Lyons, and I'm Ken Lyons. I have command of Washington.
We know you, Bob. Charlotte behind you, Carol Rogers, you know Carol. Ron Solomon and part of his family. And you can't see Marie Lucas back there, and Alfie and Michael and Ernie's good friend Hazel Curley. So, of course, our hardworking videotaper Dan Uri. And our guest of honor, Ernie Romano. I'll give you a few introductory remarks, let you know where the house is going, and from then on, it's your night, Ernie.
Okay.
So give me 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. To start off with, we're a new group. We just got our bylaws approved, not just by us, but by the entire EDC organization team. It took a while. As soon as they were approved, we incorporated in the state of Rhode Island. That was done last May. So we're about 1 month old. And this is our first semi-public meeting, and we're pleased to see you. The progress since then hasn't been spectacular, but it's slow and steady. We have a promise from Narragansett Electric that they'll connect the house free, put in 3 poles for us, and we'll be able to have security lighting and silent alarm inside the house to try to protect it from vandalism. Because if you visited the house, you know it's been pretty heavily vandalized. So this will stop that. We've had excellent cooperation from the North Kings Town Police in the interim with a battery operated funny and a silent alarm system in the house. So, and there are a lot of people to thank for it. And I can't thank everybody, but I will thank the hard-working members of our board, most of whom you see here tonight, so thank you again very much. If anybody gets inspired tonight, we have some membership cards. Annual membership begins on July 1st. It runs for a year, $20 for your family that lives in the house, which is a household membership. Alfie is, I think, a member, is on our membership committee, so she can take your $20 to sign you up if you so inclined at the end of it. Is that okay, Alfie? Fine. Okay. The other things I wanted to tell you about were a few of the pieces of history that we're beginning to put together. Now,
That's the family.
The family history.
The family of California, Quonset.
This is
The forerunner of the Romano Company.
in fact, I should say that Ernie has been around half as long as the house itself. The Allen Madison house was 1800. Ernie is 96 years old.
I went to school here.
And this is a little story of what happened. I'll pass this around, please. Take a look at it.
That's a forerunner of the Romano Vineyards.
That's a California vineyard.
It belonged to Quonset.
Then we have some pictures. These are courtesy, some of them, of Marie Lucas, which I'll pass around. This is what the house looked like in the middle 60s. Some of you may be familiar with it. An aerial shot, an aerial of wheat. And if you can identify the model of the year of that car, you might be able to pinpoint it, okay? Here are some before and after, or after and before pictures of the house from the southwest and from the east. And lastly, we have, I forgot, this just came over the internet today. The last resident that lived in the house before the wartime commander of the Seabees was Ogden Winfrey, and Ogden had taken a number of pictures back in the 30s. I'll give this one to you, Ron, because this is depicting the fireplace, and there's a musket hanging over the fireplace, and a pistol, and a couple of other items that were stolen from the house back in the 30s, after that picture was taken. And your brother might have a twin to that musket. And lastly, Tim Cranston of the Northeast Independent has been very good to us. And he, back in October 1999, he read an article which started us off. There, at that time, was not only very little interest in the house, hardly anybody knew where it was. After this, the phones began ringing at the EDC and said, "You've got to save that house." And the EDC graciously said, "Let's put a committee together," invited some concerned citizens, and you see the result of that here. Tim followed this article up just last week, I believe it was, with an article on page 4 here, which is, "Please come and help us at the Allen Madison House." And Russell Green, who's on the board, vice president of the house, will be calling you at some point, I think, to come out for our first work party, clear away some brush, debris, the nails that we're likely to drive over and puncture our tires with, some poison ivy, and also some of the rights-of-way for the power line that's coming in. So we'll be needing a couple of work parties this summer to get out there and do a little bit of yard work. Nothing inside the house yet. Marie, this is for you. You keep this after it's finished. I can pass it around. I'll pass this starting in the back here. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to say. The format for the meeting tonight is really Ernie.
What are you going to speak about, the vineyards first or Quonset?
I think we'd like to hear about everything that you think is interesting about the history of your life and what happened at Quonset Point.
Okay.
Dan will prompt you with questions, and anybody in the audience also feel free to ask a question. We'll try to relate some of the questions to the Allen House, but it's broad-ranging because Ernie has been around. He's seen a lot of things, and it's fascinating.
Then I'll stop with when we went to the farm. I also worked at Quonset at the base. I was the government company. Is this on?
Yeah, we're all set.
Can you hear me?
Sounds pretty good, Ernie. Go ahead.
Okay. We came to the farm in 1909, and we bought the farm for $10,000. It was a poor farm, and it really was a poor farm. The soil was terrible, all sand and gravel. We got to Camp Avenue about 8 o'clock at night. Can you hear me well? At 8 o'clock at night, and it was snowing. And my uncle went near Lever's house. Was one house on the right and one on the left as you come off the trolley car. To borrow a lantern, they turned us down. So we walked through Camp Avenue, through the woods, snaking through the woods, and we came from Ohio. And the trees were high and they casting shadows on the ground, and I was frightened. I was crying all the way in. They told me I had never been out in the country. So when we got there, it was something. It looked awful. It was an old, blown-down farm house, woods, brush all around you, and you get up the next morning and look out the window, and there's a deer lapping on the window pane. You thought it was salt. I got frightened. The deer didn't even get scared. My father came over there and he started to laugh. No. So it was pretty rough going when we went down there. So my dad and my uncle went to work for Dayball by the daytime. Then at night after work, they'd come home and we'd start digging holes in the ground. We planted some plants. They didn't work out. The soil was so bad. So we got the bright idea to get the muck from the bottom land of the brook. And we went to Kingston, the URI College. They told us mix lime with it. It says after it dries out, it'll be only powder. So we tried it. So then I got the idea. I said, the Indians used to plant a fish on every plant of corn they used to put out. So let's try the fish. So we put the fish in there, and sure enough, the grapes started moving. So then we had a scoop shovel about this big, oh, probably as deep from that to here, with 2 horses, and we'd scoop the dirt, this stuff from the edge of the brook, you know, be it up to our knees, you know, just shorts on. So we did that about a year and a half. This man came down. In the meantime, my dad was a salesman for the pictures there, from the picture. Was a salesman for the wine people out of New York. I got ahead of myself a little bit. Uncle Ernest was a professor. So he came to the United States. They all came ahead of my dad and my mother. So they all landed in Bristol eventually. And they all went to the rubber works. So my Uncle Ernest got tired of the rubber works. He only worked there about 3 weeks. He starts digging around for a job. So he gets the catalogs that these colleges are putting out, and he sent in his resume to 5 or 6. And Baker University responded from Kansas, Missouri, and gave him the best offer. So Mr. Guasti from California, you see the picture in that paper there, he was a cook. And he used to go up and see this land and north of him, and it was just like the land he had in Italy. So he said, I want to start a winery here with his wife. So he planted some grapes, and he went to, and my uncle spoke 5 languages. So in summertime, he used to go to this hotel in Chicago. He had good suits, but they were frayed, you know, and everything like that. So they didn't get much money, so he could buy suits. And this Guasti from California was friendly with the owner of the restaurant that was at that line of work. It must have been an Italian restaurant, I don't know. So he said, that man looks intelligent. He says, somebody comes in, he speaks different language. I don't know what he's talking about, but I know he's smart. He says, you better believe it. He says, you're over here getting extra money. So I said, will you let me speak to him after the place closes? He says, yeah. So they did, they spoke. He says, I want to open a distributorship here in Chicago. I'd like to have you manage it. So he said, well, let me think it over a couple of months. He didn't know anything about the wine business. My father was an artist. He didn't know anything about the business. So after he got through talking with us, let me think it over a couple of months. So he did. He took the job. Well, they opened that distributorship. They did so good in 2 years. My Uncle Ernest says, let's go to New York. So he says, okay. So they went to New York, and they went to corner Bleecker and Rolfe Street, New York City. And he says to Guasti, the word Guasti means spoil. He says, we can't use that name in New York. He says, people don't want to buy spoiled wines. So he says, we'll name it Italian Vineyard Company. So they named it Italian Vineyard Company. And they started. So then they got a hold of this Mr. DeRenzi, who was a winemaker in California, a renowned winemaker. And he was a chemist. And I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this word right or wrong, but I'll tell you how it's spelled. O-E-N-O-L-O-G-Y. Enology. And it's a German name for study of wines. And that was his forte. So they hired him, and he took that, and it became a winery and a bonded winery. The difference between a winery with a wholesale license It gives you the chance to sell. And it costs more than the bonded winery. The bonded winery you can manufacture, and you don't pay the taxes till you sell it, but you have to put up a bond. 10 cents, $10 on 1,000. So they started the company there. My dad became the salesman for them, and they didn't sell wine by the bottle. They sold it by the barrel. And anybody used to congregate in barber shops, cobbler shops, anywhere there was anybody, a club, you know, and the drugstores was a good outlet. They used to put 3 barrels of wine, port, sherry, muscatel those days. And they used to be in the back. You put the money on the counter to the druggist, and you used to go and fill up your own bottle in the back, out with a spigot. So, when they used to sell the wine, it used to be sold by the barrel. So if you go to a barber shop, the amount of wine he sold, he got that kind of, so much wine back to his commission. And that's where it went. And they sold in 50-gallon barrels, 25-gallon barrels, 10-gallon barrels, kegs, and a 5-gallon keg was the smallest one. And so my dad used to go all over New England. He was a man that when you talk to him, you like. You know, no fancy talk, this and that. He'd sell you the wine. Not only that, he had samples with him. You give him samples, you know. He didn't have a sample bag like this big. He had a sample bag was this big, about this wide. So, anyway, so my father was selling, my Uncle Carmine, which became my stepfather afterwards, took care of the farming part of it. And he was getting all this knowledge from Kingston. So, going back, so that's how we got started in the wine business. So then, when the grapes, all the grapes that they got in Europe, they had a disease back there that went all over Europe and killed all the grapevines. So all the grapevines in Europe are grafted on American roots. And those French people, they want everything their own way, you know. There's a town in France called Champagne. So when we started making the wine and the champagne, then we couldn't use the word champagne. But Spain took them to court and beat them. Then we could go to work and use the word champagne. So we named we had Rhode Island red chickens. So we named it the Sparkling Burgundy Rhode Island Red. That was our copyright. The state's got it now. And the winery in Tiverton, I understand, has got it now because my sister-in-law didn't bother registering the label, so they took it. And the champagne was named Devil's Foot. And there was a story going around, says an Indian, there was a fairy tale like, he was so hot, he stepped on the stone and melted, and foot went in there. There was a stone quarry, so somebody chiseled out a couple of footsteps, you know. So we named the champagne Devil's Foot. In those days, you see, we were just on getting really good with our products. So then repeal came in. What do you call it? Not repeal, the other word for it. Huh?
Prohibition.
Prohibition came in, and they stopped us. So they stopped us for about 3 or 4 months. So I said, we got to do something to keep alive. They said, we'll make grape juice. We sell grapes. I said, and see if we can't get a medical sacramental license. So Rodman ran this territory. In those days, there was only 5 or 6 men who ran the whole state. Rodman, Pell, Peck from Barrington, and what the heck was the other? Stutzer and I from Providence. I can't remember the other ones. There was no Democrats alive those days. If you were a Democrat, you was way over in the left field. And I had some friends who were lawyers for Democrats who worked for Rodman. And Rodman was a good friend of the family. So they checked into it for us and everything like that. They used to come down the farm with me about Mrs. Rodman and my mother were like sisters. They'd be down the house about 4 or 5 nights a week. They eat and drink, you know. So we finally got that. So then we got the idea of opening a drugstore in the Narragansett Hotel in the corner, and they call it Narragansett Drugstore. That was an outlet for our wines and also a drugstore. People come in with their sweethearts, pick up a bottle with a phony prescription, and they go upstairs in the hotel. I still got a spoon from the Narragansett Hotel. So I took some of that chemistry, studying those books, you know, what was in there. So Judge Hamill, and I'll go back to the farm. I'm just trying to bring the foreground with. Judge Hamill was from Bristol. He was a circuit judge. And he was going to get the job as a judge, a superior judge, you know, like the big shots. So I caught him stealing from our drugstore, buy for us, and then half was going to another drugstore on Broad Street. So I went home and I told my father and mother. And my stepfather says, Judge Hamill is not friend anymore. I said, why? He says, he's stealing. He says, how can you tell us? Here, look at this. We only got so much, and then I started going down the line. So that's how Judge Cappadosta became judge, the first Italian judge, because Colonel Rodman was behind all up. He was our strength. So he was, I grew up with Oliver. They had Bob, Oliver, and Caroline. Bob was the youngest one. No, Caroline was the youngest one. And she married Brown, that had the cattle farm in Slocum. Probably you people might know. And his father was a banker. Those days, the banker used to own the bank. Put him out there because he was a playboy, and he used to like to drink. Give him $10,000 a year to stay on the farm, and he'd buy everything over there. So anyway, now we go back to, that's a forerunner to the farm. So we started, so we were going back to the farm. We had these big wagons, you had stakes on them, you had to put 2 horses on it, you know, flatbeds. You could pitch hay and all that stuff. We'd put boards on the side. We'd go pick up horseshoes along Quonset on the water to feed the hogs with them. Then we got, those days, 75% of the fish you caught was trash. The people were fussing. They want flounders, they want the cod, the dogs, something like that. All the rest of the stuff they didn't want. So we didn't know what the heck to do with it. So we started using the fish for the farm. So you people heard Johnny speak before, some of you people, haven't you? You know my nephew, Johnny Romano? His dad came from Italy when he was 13 years old. I was only 4 when I went down there. I was the only boy on the farm. And boy, I was like little Tarzan. When I see somebody coming, I'd hide behind a tree. Probably half the time I didn't even have clothes on. So, after about 2.5 years, about 2 years later, my uncle was married, Paul. We had 2 sons in a home in Bristol. So my mother said, take them over here. We got them. Then my brother George was born. He was the first one born on the farm. He used to run the other liquor store in East Greenwich. I never liked on the sales of the liquor and stuff like that. I can't tolerate drunks. I always was in the manufacturing end of it, and sales of it, but I didn't like to be tied down. I was strictly an outdoorsman. That's why I didn't want to be a pharmacist. 2 years of that, I had enough of it. So anyway, we start prospering. Then we met these people, Palumbo people, from on Warwick Avenue. They had a farm backed up to on the airport road. So they were produce farmers, raised produce and all of that. And they taught us how to plant. So when we got going between it, we were selling fish. We used to go right there, the little island, there was a rabbit island outside the Smith farm, where the Smith Castle is. Mr. Fox used to own that land. It used to be like a little shack where you could go undress and then go swimming, you know. You had to swim out to it. Well, we used to put a big rope about that big, then all fish hooks about 6 or 8 feet apart, hanging on, and you go from land to the island. Any fish came through, they had to bite on the hooks. So you pull that in with a boat, and you had a lot of fish. You can't do that today. So then my father met, while he was selling wines in Bristol, I don't know just what location it was. This man was from Italy. He came from the fishing part of Italy, the southern part. And he heard him talk about the farm like that. And he got interested. He said, I'd like to come and work for you. He said, what do you do for a living? He says, I'm a fisherman. He says, we can't use a fisherman. He says, yeah, I'll show you what to do. He says, I know how to make seines. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. Before he did, he sold my father a bill of goods. So my father said, come on. He says, here's the money and everything like that. Come on down. Came down. My father bought all the material he ordered and like that. Of course, we had to have somebody who knew how to speak English to do it, because he couldn't speak English and Italian. And so we made the seines. Well, the wings were about 250 feet long. You know, they start with a big net, and then they get smaller and smaller. And towards the end, there was a bag about from where the lady sits over there down to here, which kept getting smaller and smaller. So then you had the ropes went on the end of it. So nobody used to steal nothing those days. You take a boat, they even built the boat. It was a 15-footer, almost as heavy to roll. Well, I was way at the top. So you take a net and you roll it all on the boat like that, like a donut, you know. And you start, one holds the rope on this, and then you make a big circle like that. See? And you bring it back. But we had to watch out for the 2 rocks. In Quonset, they call them the block rocks. There's 2 huge rocks. And there was a dock there. It must have been built a long time ago. Because the timber was, they must have put wrong timbers down and then adds it with an adze. And it was about twice as wide as this room. But when you get up to the extremity of the dock, it was round, huge. Where I suppose it took off the stuff from the boats. And you could, at the time when I was there, you couldn't go to work and ride a car on it. It wasn't that safe, you know. So we used to go fishing there for the dogs, flatfish. And there was one guy used to come there, he must have been an ice fisherman. He had these, used to fish with one line, he had 2 with the belts. So when we used to walk through the apple orchard, we'd pick up the crab apples in the buckets. And we'd sit on the opposite side fishing. When he wasn't looking, we'd throw the crab apple, and hit the thing, he'd run like a dig swell, but the crab apple went into the water, you know. So one day, and of go back to the fishing store. I ramble a lot, but I'll get it in. So we go fishing, 11 o'clock. We'd be home, Mike and I. He was older than I was. He was born in Italy, he was 13. My sister was born in Italy. So we go to bed, and they'd be sitting, sorting all the fish we had caught up to that time, and put them in different tubs and like that, and getting ready for the thing. We used to get the ice from the ice house where the grist mill was, not far from the house. And there was to pack the ice all around it. And we used to go to Appenard, then turn left, go into Native, Jericho, and all up and through there. We used to sell fish. And I used to blow the horn. And Mike used to weigh the fish and sell it. So one day we made $21.10. And we had another porch in the back. I'll describe the house when I get a little later. Porch in the back of the house. So we built one, we raised the house. And we had bench on both sides, and chairs, 2 chairs over there and 2 chairs over here, where the elderly people, my folks used to sit. And those are kids, and I hope we used to all eat together. My father says, pretty good. He says, 2 boys go out, and they make $21. $21. They said, yeah. Do you know what the help was getting those days? They were getting 25 cents a day, an hour. And sometimes 75 cents an hour. Well, when Quonset was built, they only were paying laborers 50 cents an hour outside the base. And when they were trained so they could work a little bit, get inside, get 65, that's all they were getting. Carpenters were getting $1.05. A guy running a steamroller or anything that moved got $1.25. Those were the wages. Today, they wouldn't even stoop down and pick up that kind of wages. So we did the fishing, we did all that. Then we stopped making, we were making wine pretty good. We had about 5 years of good before prohibition. We were making wines, champagne. So this, Lorenzi was the wine man. And Edward Perron, his father was the head champagne maker for Cliquot Champagne in France. So he came to the state, and he was working in Lawrence in a textile mill. So this undertaker knew him. They got together, they stopped making champagne. And guess how they were delivering it? In the coffin. So they got caught. And they came in the paper. So I don't know if my father picked it up when he was selling out in Massachusetts, stuff like that. I don't know how we got a hold of it. So we contacted him, and we got him for a champagne man. And he became a champagne man. That's how we started making champagne. And to make good champagne, you got to blend 3 different kinds of wines. Good straight wines. You want to duplicate European champagne. In the United States, we can duplicate anything the French people do. They put on that finesse. One night it galled me that this guy from California was a monk from the Christian Brothers wineries. And they were making champagne in California. When he went to France to sell his stuff, this French fellow, he had such a finesse, made him look like a pup. You know? Boy, it burnt me up. I tell you the truth. Because he was making better champagne than he was making. And I know for a fact, because I know the champagne he was making. So, now the difference you know between a champagne that's first quality. You know, the CO2 that you use for carbonated soda, you know, the same soda, that's the same gas that's in the champagne. See? What makes it pop? And now if you take the soda and put it in the champagne bottle and use the same cork, that would pop. And it doesn't pop because you flip the thing over and take off the cap. And you can tell the bubbles, you can see them, not only they bubble, they spit out a little bit of moisture, you know, and they're big. And it doesn't fizz very long. A good champagne, if it's properly made, the bubbles are very small. And they'll fizz in a champagne glass for half an hour. And the champagne glasses we use today in the stores, it's not a champagne glass. They had to do that on account of sanitation condition in cleaning of glasses. The champagne glass, it's got a dome on it, like that, like a fountain, and a hollow stem. So when it bubbles, it comes up and it gets like a fountain. That's the difference. And when you taste the champagne from that type of glass, it tastes altogether different from the glass they give you in a hotel. It's altogether different taste whatsoever. So, going back to the farm, there was 4 brothers started out. Yeah, 4 brothers started out. Well, you know, when there's 2 women in one house, and my mother was a dominated one, the other one didn't survive. So Uncle Vincent and his wife went to New York, and and Uncle Ernest gave him the job of the trucking, like the Clydesdales horses used to be for the beer, only they weren't Clydesdale, by no means. But I'm just bringing that a comparison, so it'll be vivid in your eyes, and you'll remember it. So here's what happened. So he used to have horses. When they were useless to him on the pavements, sitting down the farm, they were all right for farmers, you know? And there were plugs and all that stuff. But we did get one pretty good horse one time. His name was Buzzy Loan, a guy that came down. A lot of those guys came down and worked on the farm during the war because they didn't want to go fight. So, and you had to keep him in the check reins tight. You had a check rein on his neck because the moment you loose up, he'd tip over. His legs would go like that, like I'm walking now. And we got the appanage. And our wagon was a stronger wagon. This other fisherman, his wagon wasn't so strong. And he tried to, as we tried to make the left turn, he tried to beat us. And they locked wheels. His wheel came off, and ours didn't. We went fishing. That's how we made the 21 10. Well, so going about the 10. So going back to the 10 cents. My brother Mike says, we made $21.10. My mother says, where's that 10 cents? So says, Happy. They called me Happy. Says, Happy was so dry he couldn't talk. So we had to go in there. You know where the hospital is? You know the gate that goes up to the schoolhouse up there, to the college? No, not the college. The Tollgate School. You know that place? Well, right there, in that corner there where the light is, there's a little V store there. We stopped over there and got the drink. She was pretty. She ruled with all an iron hand, I can tell you that much. But she kept us all in check. You had to do so much work. So all the other boys were the wise guys. I was all the one who used to give in all the time, try to keep peace, you know. So says, somebody's got to take care of the horses. Mike says, I'll take care of the horses. Everybody took it. And the only thing was left was the cows. I got stuck with the cows. So I had to get up 5 o'clock in the morning, stoke the boiler to raise the steam for the cider mill or the winery. We could use it both ways. Then I had to go, by the time steam came up, I was milking cows. They get rolling, and I'd still be milking cows. I was about between 12 and 14 years old. And she was milking 17 cows in the morning. But that's wrist straps on both shirts, on both wrists. So one day, my wrist gave out. So I used to give out first one, last one is breakfast, and last one is supper. We used to have those black stoves, you know, with a water tank in the back. They used to, you know, they had a tank, black stoves. Now you people are all young people. And they used to heat the water. And they used to put the food on there, and then they had a top on top of it to keep the things warm. So I couldn't milk anymore. So I stopped. I said, I gotta go home with the same amount of milk. She'd send me right back again. So I was looking at the brook. And all of a sudden it came. I went down the brook and I filled the containers up with milk, with water. So my cousin was making the cheese all the time. My mother says, "Where's all the cheese?" She says, "We haven't got much cheese here today. What happened?" She says, "It was the same amount of milk." So, but we had one cow, a Holstein. You had to milk her 3 times a day. So when she used to get filled up, milk started coming out automatically. She used to go down by the brook. There's a big black water snake used to come out of the brook and nurse on her. I can tell you, this is true. This is true. Hey, and we had another snake. Listen, we had another snake. No, this is true. We had another snake in the cellar. See? And my mother used to, at the time my brother was one of the other boys. There was a girl that died, still with a strap around her on a rope. She used to give him the bottle, and the baby was crying all the time. One day they saw a snake come out there and I'm not lying at all. I'm telling the truth. I'm drinking the kid's milk. I'm not lying. You know, you think I'm lying, I'm not. I'm telling the truth. So, anyway, what happened was, that farm, we had in the wintertime, before I forget this one. My dad was in a hotel, must have been a small hotel in New Haven. Had to be an Italian hotel because he spoke Italian, you know, but he could speak English a little bit. And they said, "What do you people do down the farm in the wintertime?" He said, "Well, we got a 4-foot fireplace with a beehive oven and everything." He says, "We're little toothpicks." So the guy says, "Yeah." Well, he was a great killer. And he said, "How you do?" He says, "These boys got trained. They got a little jig like that. They put it in there. They whittle like that. They do pretty good." He said. He said, "By the way, would you like to buy a quart of toothpicks?" He said, "What will I do with a quart of toothpicks?" He was a great killer. But so we got down at the farm with the bottom land. So then McCormick from Cumberland, his son, used to like to drink. He had a packet car. And I heard the conversation, he was a contractor. So when he was going to his car, I said, "Mr. McCormick, may I speak to you a minute?" I was only about this high. It was not too old, about 15, 16. I said, "Have you got some old equipment we can use, make an exchange with? I'll give you champagne, you give me the equipment." He said, "What are you after?" "I'd like to get a steam shovel." He says, "You go big." I said, "Well, I need something big to take the muck out of the brook." So he said, tell me what I'm doing. I got an old steam stove. You can use either coal or wood. I said, that's okay. Does it work? He says, yeah. It wound up in Quonset. You're going to war. So he said, I want 200 cases of champagne. I said, oh, that's too much. I said, I'll give you 100, take it or leave it. He gave it to me for 100. So they brought it down the farm, and we had to put it on pontoons, like they brought the things like the mats, like they put on. Mike always took it over with me, Mike. And we started digging up mud. So we couldn't use the trucks. We had some trucks over there. Liberty trucks with solid tires, they'd spin around. So I went down to East Vineyards, and I got a hold of Johnson. He used to have a teaming business down there. And we got 4 or 6 dump trucks. And that's when we started putting the loom on the ground and spreading it, you know, and a mix of that with fish. But afterwards, years later here, when Israel was getting started, they were putting a thick coat of oil on top of the soil. It was all sandy to raise crop. But it must have been like petroleum jelly, you know, that's made from petroleum. That's Vaseline. And you use that for hands like that. So it must have been all right for health purposes. But the fish, so finally, when we had the shovel, we got a bright idea. We digged a big long ditch. It must have been about 100 feet long, about wide as this table. And we should put a load of sand in there, put a fish in there, put sand, put a fish, and put that muck we used to get out of the ditch on top of that. And then we kept doing like that. We let it stay there for a couple of years. Boy, when you opened that thing, you could smell it for miles around. And poor Mike, he had come from Italy, the poor fellow. My mother says, go over there and work on that stuff over there and load up the wagons with the men. Mike went over there, stayed about an hour, and he went to another farmhouse. And they couldn't find him for 2 months. So, it smelled, I'm telling you, it smelled to high heaven. So anyway, did I tell you about everything tastes fishy? So we started we were picking up horseshoes. My father said, I was about 12, my brother was about 10. And we went there with a big wagon. We took the right of way, you know, no cars and nothing. We had a right of way between the Newcomb and Camp Avenue. There's where Lindbergh land came through the right of way. So we went down on the water, on the Whitford side, which would be the south side of Quonset. And you had the place where the bank broke off straight like that, and you hang over a little bit. Then you had some places you could walk down to the water. Then the dock went out this way, about 300 and a half, 400 feet. And then on the right, you had the 2 big block rocks, you call them. And we were picking up horseshoes. And all of a sudden, we saw these fish chipping in the water like that, popping out of the water like crazy. Sand sharks were chasing them. There were smells. So I said to my brother, let's put the signal. He says, no, we can't do that. I said, well, there's nobody here. There's only those 3 beachcombers up there in the tent. And they were half through, you know. So I said, you stay here. No, how would you? Oh, we took back the wagon up, unhitched the horses, and tied them to the wagon. And then we put around the wheel, we put the rope to sail on the shore. And he couldn't row the boat, so he rowed the boat, and he just threw the thing off, a little like that, just go like that, because he couldn't pick it up, you know. And we made a big sweep. We stopped pulling the thing, and all of a sudden, my God, we had big touch. We couldn't pull it anymore. We had so much smolts, so many smolts in there, and sand sharks. They were about this big. The sand sharks were, you know, a little bigger. So I went to the guys over there. I knew one of them. I says, how would you like to get a bottle of wine apiece? They said to me, what are we going to do? I says, we'll take the whipple trees and tie it to the rope on this side, and like that. You just take them out nice and easy, like that, and we'll get our sail out. That's what we did. Well, we got so far, we couldn't pull it. No more, even with the horses. So, I got on the horseback, and I went down to the farm, home. And I told my father, I said, Pa, I think we put the sail around the rocks. He says, don't worry. He says, I wouldn't tell your mother. So, anyway, so we went, and when we went there, they had to get in there, start shoveling it, and those sand straps that punched holes through the net in certain places. The guy repaired it. We got so many smilts on that thing there, it was, I'm telling you, I never saw so much fish in my life. You walked in there, you were up to here and fish. You know? So, now, Quonset in itself was, you had the Camp Avenue, and you had the, we bought, the first farm we bought was the poor farm. Then, after years later, about 5, 6 years later, we bought the Madison farm. Now, the farm, the house you people are talking about, this fellow must have been a relation here, because that farm's almost on Newcomb Road. Right? It's on that side. It's a gate.
On the east side, about a mile away from the
Yeah. Well, so this Madison must have been descended of them, because he was right down where they got a circus over there going on. Right? We saw it coming up. Did you drive me up? Who was over me drove me up? She saw it. You know where Camp Avenue, where Newcomb is? Right there, right near the road, right there. That's where the house was, up on the hill. And they built a big wall, high wall, and the road used to go right by it. And that was the back end of the carriage house, the woodshed, the carriage house. That's why they used to do everything. Then at the end they had the concrete. And the barn was away about 200 feet away that way. And they always picked on where it was a hill, like when they built things, because you could go to work and put the stones in the back. It was already there. And they said, that much you put the stones here, and then they had a place to get underneath. So that's most where the most people did it those days.
Is that farm on the left, if you go up Newcomb Road?
Yeah.
Just up on the hill on the left?
No, there's no farm there, no.
No, but it was up before the...
Yeah, as you come up, you know...
By Grace Riley over there.
Yeah, you know where Newcomb Road is?
Yeah.
You know where the highway is? When you come up here about 300 feet, right on top of there was a knoll there, and that's where the house was. And right back, then the house was attached to the woodshed and all that stuff, so you didn't have to go out. We used to get some awful snowstorms those days. They say the global warming isn't working. The damn right it's working, because we're not getting those storms anymore. The young people and the factory people, this is not working. It's working because we couldn't get out of that farm in winter time. Give you an example. This man became manager of the telephone company. The first day he got over, they saw we owed $250. So he gets on the phone and he says, we're going to shut the telephone off. So my brother has the phone. So I said, what's he want? He said, wait a minute. He said, I got on the phone. I says, is this boy saying, my brother saying the right thing, you're going to shut us off? He says, yeah. I said, will you do me a favor, come down and pick up the check? He got fast up there, he didn't come in. So he shut us off. But those are the kind of snowstorms we had. So we bought that farm. Then we bought a strip about 75 feet wide from our farm right out where the bridge is. You know, going in Quonset Road there, where the railroad goes underneath it. North Dixon. Well, they come out right over there. We had a barrel there. Oh, about 150 gallons. Some people call it hogshead like that. And we had the date and Romano Vineyards written on the both sides over there. And that's how we made the straightaway, so we come out there. Then about a few years later, the sister died first. It was a sister, she was a school teacher, taught at Davisville. And he did the farming. She died, and when he died, the place was up for sale. And my father said to me, I took him literally, but I know now he was fooled. So he says, if we go up there to buy the place, they want more money. You go up there, go up there. I was about 16, something like that, I don't know. I had my little jumper overalls on, you know, like that. And I had a certified check, I think it was, I don't know, $4,000, something like that. And there was a guy, I think his name was Ledoux, had a mill, textile mill, a small one, in Woonsocket. And he had a place down near Quonset. And I went up there, and he kept bidding. I bet $2,000. He said, 3. I said, 4. He said, 5. When I get up to 6, I said, Mr. Ledoux, my dad told me, if I don't buy this place, not to come home. See? So I got it for 8,000. He knew that, because we wanted to square off that land. See, the farm. So, and that's how we bought that place. So there was a big pond down in there. It only in the summertime it used to dry up, but there used to be a big hole, like, you know, you used to fill up the water off the road that way. And the roads were only made with gravel and stone. Those things, gravel roads. So when we bought that strip, my father, we had the help there. We had about 12 men used to work this day. And we had about big as a table here, about 12 feet, I don't know. Along, from there, all the way up with stones, made a curve, and we planted like maple trees, shrubberies, and everything like that, you know, all the way up on both sides. We had to bring our own telephone line in. We cut our own poles, put them up, and then we paid them to bring a line in. But we used to get our Knight's farm, you know, down in Quidnessett, and back near Gotta Park, down there at that end, there's a Knight farm down there. And Millie Vaughan used to be his foreman. He was a handyman, he could do anything. And we used to get all this cast off material. So we had electricity before we had electricity come in. Because when he had electricity put in, we took his equipment he had to make the electricity. And he didn't have a wheel to turn. You had a lever you used to push that way, and the wheel used to turn around and generate the back. And we had the jars with handles on them, big square jars like that. And we used to mix the acid and all that stuff. And we used to get enough electricity for the house, you know, and but not for the barn, you know, anything like that. It just gave us just for the home and that line. So he used to help us out a lot. They used to use the back road, come to the house, the Remington and Millie Vaughan, they all worked for him over there down the night. And they used to stop and drink, chew the fat a little while, and then they used to go home to bed. They lived in Davisville. So then, one day, in the meantime, we're doing this. I'm working on the farm all the time, but I wasn't crazy about farm work. So I started out with a walk-in box about this big and right wide, selling soaps and stuff around the farmers. Then from there, I graduated and I started buying, going around getting coffee, this and that. When I got the first car, Tin Lizzie, the Ford, I started using the Ford. So I used to go around the farmers selling. I went into Earnshaw drugstore. Not Earnshaw. What that was his name? Oh, I met Nelson. It used to be, when we bought that piece of property next to the bank, in East Greenwich, with the two guys from Italy. Well, I bought all that piece of property there. I was selling then, and I was in Jigger's Diner. I'd go into Jigger's Diner, get my breakfast, go to the post office, get my mail. So I see what I got for customers around there. I had to mail something to them or like that. Because I couldn't get around. I had such stretched out so much. Like, it took me longer to get around. And you run out of a pair of shoes. I had your size and everything to say. I look up in the book and I mail it out to you. That's how I started out. So I went into Nelson. He had a good-looking daughter. And so she used to work in Earnshaw's drugstore. No, it wasn't Earnshaw. What the heck was his name? I can't think of his name now. And, huh? He used to be down, Earnshaw was in the center of town, and he was a little further down by the, down further. It wasn't Murray's. Murray's was on the other side. Shaw. That's the name. And I went in there, Shaw's the name, the drugstore. So I went in there and I said to her, no, I got away from Nelson. Nelson, that used to be, no, Nelson used to run the A&P store, manager. So I went in there and they had 2 grades of coffee. And the coffee was 8 o'clock. No, 8 o'clock in the red circle. One was 17 cents and the other one was 22 cents. So I bought 200 bags of coffee, like empty bags. The Romano special on it. And I bought them. I said, I want 100 pounds of this and 100 pounds of that. And I want you to mix it up, half and half, and fill up my bags. She said, I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm not going to take your daughter out. So he said to me, what do you mean? I said, no. So he says, okay. And I got the coffee. So I was telling that to the professor. He's a good professor, but he wasn't fast on mathematics. He says, and you sold it for 35 cents? He says, yeah. He says, you lost money. I said, how the hell did I lose money? I says, one cost so much, when you box them together, it's so much a pound. I was making a few cents. So one day, there's this woman out in the country. And boy, those ladies those days, they worked hard. They had to work on the farm and everything out there. And she was pregnant. And she had twins. 2 days, I went over there, and she was thin as an arrow. I says, where'd the babies? They said, they're in the house. So I was so surprised, you know. So she was already stripping clothes. They had to work hard. So, whatever. So, by selling with the farm, so I got them started in the real estate business. So while I was in the drugstore, in the Jigger's Diner, this guy used to be our meat cutter, Howard, something like that. Did you remember the meat cutter used to work in the Hannaford store? They went into real estate, him and and Morris. Howard, I don't know, it was his first sale. They had that piece of property for sale. And Alan and George Hannaford had it for sale for $35,000. So he said to me in the dining, I could get it for you for $32,000. I says, go down the farm and talk to my mother and my stepfather. They went down there. My mother always wanted to try to drive a hard bargain, man. And as I got there, I said, I'll be down there. Wait for me. He said, so as I pull in, they'll go get me. I said, what's the matter? She said, you can't do business with her. She wants to take our commission. I said, so all we're going to do is get our commission. So I said, come on back. So I said, no, that's a good piece of property. I said, don't let that slip away from you. She said, I'm not going to give him $20,000. So I said, okay, I wrote him out a check for $2,000 out of my business. So we bought that piece of property. So then we had a bill on it or something. So it was about a year later. It was the first date I had with my wife. We went down the roads to dance. I can't dance today. I got 2 left feet. But you know how girls are. They want to show off they got a boyfriend, you know. So anyway, we went down the roads. We struggled through, we danced. So these 2 boys come up to me, and they were Jello Dunn built the Greenwich Mall, you know, in East Greenwich, that little mall now that CBS is in. You know that mall is? East Greenwich was CBS. Huh? Dunn? Yeah, Dunn. Yeah. He bought the telephone building there too. And there was one was.
Place up on Kenyon Avenue.
Huh?
He owned a house up on Kenyon Avenue.
Yeah. Well, so he says to me, I want you to take a ride with me. I said, where we go? Never mind. So he takes me on the east side. He shows me this big mansion. I fell in love with it right off the bat. It was huge. The dining room was 24 by 36. Gee, I said, my father could do a hell of a job on it. And boy, he did all the painting around the thing, you know. Boy, it looked beautiful. But you know when they popped the champagne corks, it was all dented on the ceiling. So he said, I'll give you, he said, if you want it, I'll take it all apart and board by board and deliver it to you. I said, you got the plans? He says, yeah. So we got this Willie Vaughan I was talking about, working for, what's his name, Knight. I said to him, how are we going to do this? To get us, I showed him the plans and everything like that. I said, it's huge. I said, when we build it, push this up, we're going to have 3 decks. So we got a guy from Oakland Beach. It wasn't Stender, or another name. And they used to do raised buildings. So he come over here and says, yeah, we put cribbage and that like that. So they raised the thing way up in the air. It was, I thought a good woodstone would blow it up, but it didn't. So we stopped digging all around there. We had the shovel, you know, the steam shovel came into play. And we dug all around there and everything. And we put in the walls, and everything found it like that. Then we got a burner and a wall that cut the rails for us the right length. And we put the trolley car rails right straight through. So, and we put them like, and then we built the porch. The porch was as big as this, bigger. And then we had stairs going out there that were about 4 feet wide, swinging out like that. We had a stonemason working with us all the time. Everything was made of stone. Even the winery in California, they made them stone in those days. So then we put the rails across, and he showed us how to cut the boards, and we put them on the lip, you know, the trolley car lip, they have the lip on the thing, the spike goes on, put them across, and gee, so when we poured the cement on that, we had steel reinforcement, and we had a wooden floor and the rails showing. So when you painted the whole thing, it was all alike. See? So, and it made a huge cellar. So we built the house, and it had 4 rooms, the house did, and an attic. We were all boys, all slept upstairs. We used to raise havoc up there. We used to have pillow fights and everything. One time I had a bird dog, I commanded, I used to have him pull all the sheets off the bed and all that stuff. So my father comes up there and I throw the pillow and I hit him in the face with it. But all the feathers went flying. So anyway, so we used to play hard, we worked hard. But after we got this up, so then we built a big, we had a big store. So we stopped buying, we bought that real estate there. And about,
From the 38 hurricane?
no, that was Quidnessett. That was in Boston then. It was before that. It was the early stages. We used to have some awful wicked storms. And we used to have to put burlap bags around the horses' feet so with the crusty ice, they didn't cut their legs. You know? You know what I mean? You follow me? Burlap bags. We have to wrap them around the legs like that. So, and we used to make a sled, we used to make a snowplow, like a V, put weight on it, to sit on it, we used to put a piece of metal in the front, you know, and used to blow snow. Sometimes we could use it. Because we could go walk on it to school, but we couldn't go, because Tom Cohen used to be the custodian of Quonset. He had 4 children. And he used to drive the little, he had a Model T Ford with benches on both sides, and a step in the back. He used to get in, now to take care of all the kids so they wouldn't get hurt. And we said, take us to the trolley car, Cap Avenue. So, but going back to Fitzgerald, these 2 boys, they went to work. That's why I was a tough cookie to beat when I was fighting Fort Barton. Those big companies. I was interrogating that car, cross-examine, then I switch away, go way over there, and I come back and pick it up and nail them. So, anyway, so I said, he says, you want to borrow $50 off the guy that was the head of the Rocky Park, Crescent Park, you know, the head of the place. He says, well, Romano boy's there, I know you know him. If he gives you a check for $50, he says, I'll change it for you. So they come up to me and they says, I want to borrow $50. I said, you 2 stumble bugs? He said, that's what they were. So I said to him, what do you got for collateral? He says, you don't have a big White House on Lord and Wheeler Avenue? I said, yeah. I said, that's a one that's been for sale for 4 years. He said, we'll give you a 30-day option for $50. You can't do that today. So I said, that's better than nothing. But I knew Dunn, so I know he was good for it. So Monday morning, I Moses down by the river. I went up to see the guy that ran the title guarantee there, check it out. The guy from the east side came down, built the Tudor Arms up there. Walks right by me, it was like a vestibule there. Said, I'm looking for a piece of property to build an apartment house. Says, this young boy's got something you want, why don't you go and take a look at it? So I left my Tin Lizzie by the water there. He takes me in his Cadillac, he sees the place, he looks, it was a duplex house, father and son. It was a gorgeous looking house. It was built, you know, very good those days. Big stairway, 6 feet wide, with a bull nose on it. Where are you going? So anyway, here's what happened.
Go to bed early.
Huh?
Go to bed early.
Oh. So here's what happened. he went to work, and it's just, so he took me up there, and he looked at the building. He said, how much you want for it? I didn't know what it was worth. I got it for $16,000. I said, you give me a figure, I'm not gonna take it. He just looks it over like that. He said, I'll give you $32,000. I made $16,000 on $50. So we took half of that house and we put it down next to the bank. And had slate roofs, shingles, and we took that out. But, so Quonset, so that's how I got started in real estate, and we bought a lot of real estate after that. And we made money with real estate. We made more money with the real estate than we did with the wineries. We made more money with the real estate than we did with the winery. And so Quonset in itself was all farmers. Everybody was farmers. You knew everybody. If you had a mishap, like we had a fire down there, down at the farm, so we had all that lumber went down, so we needed a sawmill. So this guy went to work, was a second cousin to the family. He came from Auburn, New York, and they came down, and he told us, buy a sawmill, we'll show you how to run it and operate it and everything. So for 4 years, we made our own boards and everything. So Mr. Hussey was from Maine. We built the winery shed. We built the big, we had a hen house that held over 600,000 chickens, big, huge, long, with separate wires in it. We had 4,000 laying hens. 4,000 laying hens. We used to go get eggs with a wheelbarrow. Yeah. And we were feeding everything with fish. I told you about fish before. Everything with fish. Well, you know, Purdue Fish, he raises, all his chickens are raised on fish, but he's smart enough 4 weeks before he markets them, he turns them to grind. See? But we didn't know that. So, so all the farmers came down to help us put up the barn. And anytime anybody else, we used to help each other pitching hay and all that stuff. We had deer, around a herd of deer there, about 36 of them, you know, all around the place there. They were tame. When the people from Federal Hill started shooting them, and then the Quonset came down that end. There was an albino deer there, all white. So then we started building hospitals. We built 4 hospitals, one in Roslindale, one in Framingham, and 2 in Lake Worth, Florida. So what these boys were doing, it wasn't new to me. I used to have a chart. First you had to go talk to the people in the town hall, get them on your side, and bribe them if you had to. That's what they all do. But we weren't trying to put up poison plants. We were putting up health buildings. You know what I mean? And so then they started with the building convalescent homes and things like that. So, and then we used to sell them. I used to sell, you know, to get the doctors, put their money in it and like that, and get borrowed money. And we didn't use no HUD money like these other people use. I got doctors I used to get from the banks, you know, borrow money like that. And so I had the experience of when I was fighting Fort Barton, Medicam, and all those places. I stopped the chemical plants over there. I stopped the plant here in Quonset, you know, the incinerator. I donated $1,000. I went and picked up $30,000. That's why you got recycling now. I got the right there, the paper right there. So here's what happened. We had 2 brothers who were doctors. They were good doctors, lousy businessmen. And that's how I got involved. Then in chapter 11, I had to bail them out. I bailed them out. And so then one went to Florida. He couldn't get nowhere down there. He was the only Italian down there, and they had a big Italian population. There was 3 doctors in that area. They wouldn't give him a chance. So I went to see him. He says, I'm not doing any business over here, so I come over here and spill stones on the pond here. Took me away at one of those ponds here. I said, you got a small printing press in town? He says, yeah. I said, you doing much? He said, no. So let's go talk to him. So I went to see him. I says, how do you like to sell me a printing press over here and work for me? I said, after I get through it, I'll give it to you. He says, what? I says, you got to write stuff that I want too. And you can carry your paper, do your own paper. He looked at my brother, he says, is he for real? He says, yeah. So I started having articles written in Italian in there, because I had a lot of Italian people, and most of in that area are all Italians. So my brother started getting all the trade. So that's how we started. We built the hospital. Then I give him back his stuff. My brother was on his way. So yeah, my other brother down in Massachusetts, Frank, he went broke. I was down in the Union Hall. I'd done construction. I'd been in the Union. They said to me when I was fighting at Fort Barton, I pulled a plant apart. He says, you're not qualified, you're a chemist. I just smiled at him. I said, I'm not going to argue with you. I'll bring my credentials at the next meeting. I went down to Union Hall and swayed in there. Back it up. Everything I do, I have backups. So went to work. He went broke. You see, they extended too fast. They didn't know enough to consolidate. So I went to see him in the hospital. He says, I don't want to live. But what really happened was, he gave this guy, I think about $50,000, his bookkeeper, to raise $2 million. He raised it with his family. But then they stole his business. And they sold it to a Catholic church in Chicago Diocese. And they picked it up, and I picked up $135,000 for him at that afterwards. They stole, that's how he went broke. So he said, I don't want to live. So I says to my wife, I says, she was a good soul. That's why I married her. She had my ideas. See, I could have married into wealth. I could have married a DuPont girl. But she was so homely, she'd stop a clock. And she was about 10 years older than I was. I worked for them 2 years. So,
We're going to have to go outside.
okay, not boring.
Well, tell you what, it's tremendously interesting. What I'm thinking, Ernie, we're fulfilling now through about an hour's worth of talk. Would you like to open it up for questions from the audience?
Yeah, that's what I'd like.
Yeah, okay.
I'd like questions from the audience, that's what I like.
Now, one of the things we haven't talked about were your times working when the Navy came over and took over Quonset.
Oh,
If someone's interested in that, we got
they're interested. Who's interested in that?
Carol has a question.
Wait, I can hear you, but I can't hear.
They burn all the farms when Quonset came in.
What'd you say?
Did they burn all of the farms when the Navy took over Quonset?
They didn't burn them. They took everything down. There was a greenhouse there and everything. I was there. And everything was shipped to the farm. You see, we were working in Quonset. It was back in 1940. They bought the farm, I think the government took it about 1938, something like that, I don't know. See, my mother made a mistake. If she had called me when she was selling the farm, I would have put a codicil in there. If if you ever sell this property, do away with this property, it reverts back to us. But they didn't think of that. And they sold the winery to Standard Wholesale. But Quonset, we started working from Quonset because we wanted to get a base down for the planes. And we were working fast at Quonset, but we couldn't get our material into Quonset. So, because there was a swamp between Quonset on our land, it was 40 feet deep, just where the railroad goes through, and right here, and the road going through. This road right like that. See there? There's a road like that. So we had a steam shovel in there, and that steam shovel, another steam shovel, a regular shovel that ran with the oil, but they had this clamshell on it. They dig it and come back, dig it, come back. So I went to see my father-in-law one weekend, and he said to me, "How they doing down there?" I said, "Not too good." And I told him what was happening. He said, "An article in the Papa Mechanic." He says, "I won't through it, you can have it." I took it home. When I opened it up, it was 8 feet deep in Canada. Well, the extremities, the beginning of the swamp was 20 feet deep. It was 40 feet deep in the middle. But give me an idea, and I'll work on it, and I'll come up with something. And that's what I did. So I took 4 pipes. I went up to Captain Miller, and I said, "Captain, see, everything came to the farm. All stock there, everything was being shipped to Romano Farm. It wasn't going into Quonset. And they needed that stuff in Quonset. But they had the roads blocked up, Camp Avenue, Newcombs, from where they were digging. And they were in a hurry for that. So I put 4 pipes. I went to the captain, I said, "Captain, I got an idea." He said, "What is it?" I was telling him, "I got an idea for the thing." So he said, "What is it?" I said, "I'm not telling anybody because it might not work. I don't want to be the laughing stock of the base." So he said, "Okay." He said, "I got enough faith in you." So he writes down a paper and gives me a requisition that I could commandeer anything I wanted on the base. I only had charge of all the rolling equipment. I had a 98 Buick marked on the car, government car. So I commandeered the pipes, and I got 4-inch pipes, high, 4 inches long, with the cross thread so they screw up quick. And we cut the first pipe, we pinned it down and made like a weld point, and welded it so the water wouldn't come up, and we put it up. So we put the 4 pipes, we exploded them, and then went out and came back again. I said, "Stop." In those days I smoked cigars. So I went in the shop, sat in a chair there, and I started figuring. I went down the line. I said, "What do I need?" "I need expansion." "What do I need next?" And I said, "I need weight." And I went down the line and made a list. Then I said, "We'll start in the morning." All the time, the captain was up on the hill behind the tree with the glasses looking at me. See what we were doing, you know. And I had 4 men. I said, "Keep busy around here because they can see us down here." Oh, and that swamp, when McGraw had only 6 inches of water. But when the base took over, it was a big son, as big as you. It was up to his armpits in water, because I got the bright idea of raising nutria. That's a South American. You've heard of Nutricoats? That's an imitation beaver thing, and they got long tail, and about that long. So I started breeding them. So they used to be they took so they could chop wood, and they built a road, and it was up on a hill, like, on both sides, a wagon trail, you know. So I put 4 12-inch oak planks, 3 inches thick. I made a cement floor on each side, and I slipped them in, and the water built up, and there was a lot of water. So they didn't know where the water come from. So the captain says to me, "Can you go to work and take care of that mess over there, whatever it is? So I said, I think so. So I said, I need a dynamite man. So I took the dynamite man, made him put the explosive there, and about a week, 2 weeks the water went out. So anyway, so I went to work, I put 20 feet distance from the 4 feet. I put the first 4 feet down. We went down to 20 feet. So I put another section, 24 feet. And we had wooden mallets with a ring on them they made for us down there. And we made the circle. Everything dropped. You didn't try to pick it up. Like if you do it went in there, you didn't come up. So went to work. We made like pontoons, but they weren't pontoons. They were, you know, those stone drags. They used to put stone in a farm, just like a toboggan, you know. It was like a sled, like with a little turn on top, but they used to drag on the ground, so you could just roll the stones on. Well, we put that, and the native men put some stuff around them and everything, so they'd be floatable, you know. Made them like pontoons. So, and we circle around. Everybody take a crack and kept going around. So I promised him. I said, whoever does the most strokes, I'll give a bottle of wine. I always had the wine in there. So one guy said, stop. After 6 strokes, I made him stop. I said, I don't want him to get out of that. I picked out all rugged boys. But I always I didn't let anybody do anything that I couldn't do. I showed them. You know, I always led. And that's why every job I got onto, it progressed, because I set the pace. So here's what happened. So this Brown was a superintendent for Lane Construction. He got caught stealing the money from those Italian boys. They didn't know how to read English, and he out of the envelopes for money. So they fired him. So before they fired him, they picked him up and they put him in the toolbox and locked it up. You know, with the top, with the flip over the top. They couldn't find him for 2 days. And his wife called up the house, wanted to know where his husband was. So anyway, they got him out, and he got fired. So he was selling dynamite in Norway. He was up in Greenwood selling dynamite, and his son was a dynamite man that I hired. He was putting more dynamite in there than he needed too. So anyway, because the government was paying for it. So I commandeered 20 trucks from the dispatcher. He calls up Captain Miller and says, that guy must be nuts. He just wants 20 trucks. He says, give him anything he wants. This is priority here. We got to get material into the base. You know, the heavy stuff. So, sure enough, I didn't get the 20 trucks right off the bat. I had to try to do works first. So we only had to do a small space, 25 feet square, so we only had 2 trucks doing that. So when it came to, you had to keep hitting that thing steady. If it didn't, it'd pop up. So you had to, one drop, you had to take the pace, time it. So afterwards, when we got organized, I devised a block, an oak block, to the jackhammers, so we wouldn't have metal against metal. And we used jackhammers. And we had 3 crews, and then we started progressing fast. And that's when I took the 20 trucks in. So one night, I said to the guy, I said, John, you keep your eye on me. And I had a red and a white hat. I said, oh, way up in the hill, because I knew there was a lot of explosive there. And we built a big pile of dirt like a mountain. So the pipe came up to 20 feet. I put an extra 4 feet, made it 4 feet. So when I went like that, with a white, then I found a fire went like that. It stuck like that, and it flattened out, and the mud piled up that side like that, and I had 4 feet of gravel on top. I had my road. So I went to see Captain Miller, and he was laughing like that. He says, I was watching you all the while. What do you think? I was going to let you get away with everything? Sister, we became good friends. His wife and my wife were good friends. So I said, now, we got to get this going. I said, for 2 reasons. we're having a lot of trouble with it. See, I went to Gordon Spring Garden Institute, Philadelphia, mechanical electrical, and graduated from there. And I knew all about machinery and all that stuff, cars of those days. And those days, I could work on a new cars. They're too sophisticated to get some water. So, we used to have the the bulldozers and the scrapers, not the scrapers, but the bulldozers are all jet stuff. And those jet, you know, I mean, jets, diesel oil. And so I called an expert from a plant in Ohio somewhere, was an expert on it. So he come up here and he would start working on it. I says, are you going to be able to remedy this? He says, no. I said, that's all I can do is clean them up. Now, you see, we had had booster motors on it, gasoline motor. You threw the gear and mesh into that, and they used to start the diesel engine up. But the rest of them weren't. And we was losing a lot of time. A lot of them didn't want to work. They couldn't find it. So, and between the diesel engines going the way they are, so I went to Captain Miller. I said, look, I says, we got to put in 3 shifts. He says, what do you mean? I said, I got it all figured out. I said, we could work them 7 hours and give them 1 hour, pay them for 8. So the government was going to go for that. I says, going to save money. I says, this way here, they'll be running the diesel all along, all the time, 24 hours a day, and we'll have the things for the pipes and everything to get. We're going to work 3 shifts there, the same way. So, in the meantime, he says we ran out of money. So Curtis came over, and so he was a Secretary of the Navy. So he come over. So he said to me, Ernie, we got to put a nail strip in. So I said, okay. I said, find out how far the plane is. So what do you want to know that for? So I know how much foundation I got to put in. So he says, okay, call them up. They found out. We worked 3 nights and 3 days, steady, 1 o'clock. I had a hunting coat on and everything like that. And for grade sticks, we used reinforcing rods cut on a 45, and we used them for stakes, you know. And we got that done, and we put that runway in 3 days. So he came in, and he looked over the place, and he said, the money in. So he told me, he says, this guy wants to go to work and put 3 shifts like that, and I explained to him. When he thought it all out, he said, that's a good idea. You know where I got that idea? It wasn't my idea. It was this young fellow in Missouri. Used to ride these Murray's flower shop has got those wagons. It got like we used to call them buckboards, like got a little frame and 1 seat, and it goes with a prong on top of the metal rail, goes on there. It got in the rut, and it fell off and broke his leg. So he couldn't go into merchant marines. So he went in, when he graduated from college, he went to the Marine College. And then I'm going to go get Quonset right in after this. And they found out that all the ships used to go and disappear in 1 spot. You know about the trade winds when the sailboats are out? And he had a blackboard note. When he pulled a pin, they all dropped in the same spot. So I got the bright idea from there. So I said, I've got to have 1 spot, centralize everything in 1 spot. So anybody that was operating a piece of equipment that had the map on the wall, when they left, he had to put the pin on there. I had one in my office, and Miller had one in his office. So when they came, they were already running. They just hop on and go to work. Okay?
Okay. Ernie, you want some more questions?
Yeah, go ahead. What you want to know more
We're,
about?
we're on Quonset point construction during the war, so did you know Charlie Dayball?
Of course, I knew him personally. I knew went on his yacht and everything.
How was his wife?
I didn't know his wife.
No,
No. I didn't know his wife.
my grandfather worked for him.
Yeah, my father worked for him too. But Charlie Dayball used to come. Charlie Dayball and Al Smith, you know where you go on Camp Avenue? He built that big house over there.
Yeah.
Big house. And he used to have what you call,
That's the one that just burned?
huh?
Is that the one that burned down?
I don't know if
That's
it
the one the Navy had, was it Admiral's quarters?
What do you mean, down on Camp Avenue?
I think the house was moved, wasn't it? It was moved from the airport.
No, that wasn't on the fort.
No, it was moved to new site, the old Dayball house.
Dayball house was moved, yeah. But I mean, not Smith's. So the two were together. They used to come down the farm all the time. As a matter of fact, my father shot his peacock because they used to eat a lot of grapes. The peacock, I saw on the TV, this guy out west bought a ranch, bought a big nice place over there, and the peacocks were coming over eating all his grapes. And they said they didn't know how to catch them there, so they were putting, they were soaking grapes in the liquor so the peacocks would get drunk and they'd catch them. But that made me laugh because my father, Charlie Dayball, John, did you shoot my peacock? He knew damn well my father shot him. But he used to eat a lot of grapes.
That's better.
So,
Peacocks can be wild when they.
but Charlie Dayball wanted to send me to Milano to open up a plant for him. I didn't want to go there. But what were we talking about?
You want to talk about this? This shows some of the inside of the.
This plant here, it doesn't do justice because it was a big plant. Now that I bought that from Hanley Brewery Company. You see the spring valve there?
Pass it around.
You see a spring valve there? That spring valve, every 2,000 gallons out of spring valve. So when I treat the wine, now that's Ricky up the top. That holds 8,000 gallons.
So this is.
And I'm stepping on a lot of that.
I think this was in a chicken house, wasn't it?
No, that's a Providence.
That's in Providence. So
See, my folks sold the winery to these people, standard.
were you there when Lindbergh landed?
Of course, I can tell you all about it.
Saw that then, okay.
You want to know that?
I heard a lot about it.
Lindbergh landed in Quonset Point. They're all waiting at Camp Avenue and Newcomb Road. So he came down to the right of way. It was about 75 feet from our house when he came by in the right of way. He was tall and lanky.
Can you show me where it is on there? On that
It was where our house was. This is where it was.
I wasn't there.
It'd be right about in here. They stand right about in here.
Okay.
And see, we had a stone wall like this, about 4 feet high here, and then when you got towards the barn, it was about 8 feet, 10 feet. And then we had another stone wall on the other side. But in the driveway, they had to come up here and turn around like that, and the house was about 75 feet. You know, you could see him right off the porch. He was a tall. He looked younger than I did when I was a young kid. Well, he was young, and his father-in-law and my Uncle Ernest lived on opposite corners in New Jersey. He was governor. He used to come down the farm before he knew Lindbergh and his daughter. I used to pull his wife's hair. By the time she was tall and lanky, I couldn't run. I was short-legged. I'd grab her head. She'd
Where he landed, was that part of the National Guard?
Huh?
Was that part of the National Guard encampment?
When he landed on the National Guard's property. The National Guard property wasn't very big. No. Only had one building, and along the, used to run south to north, the wall. They had the wall on this side of the road, about 4 feet high, and then the wall on this side, had property on both sides. And Tom Cole lived on this side, near the...
when you say road, which one do you mean? Camp Avenue?
I'm talking about when you go to Camp Avenue, and you get to the gate, and you turn to the right, and it connects with Newcomb. I don't know what that road name was. And on top of the, halfway there, on the ledge, there was Captain Dean, and they had a colored guy working for him, and he had charge of all the base down there. They were all volunteers, and when Villa attacked the United States, they came out down there, and that place was all dotted with tents. And the soldiers knew there was a winery there, and we had barrels by the barn, wine and cider. They track all through the woods. They used to light a fire and get a corn husk, put a hole through it, and then they put it in a barrel and drink. And they drank half of the cider and half of the wine that we had there, but the state paid for it. But he had charge of and I slept, one of the officers had me sleep in one of the tents. It was the first time I slept in a tent, you know, and boy, and I looked, and you could see the stars in the air and everything. But Quonset itself was flat. They must have flattened it out. And towards the east side, it had like a break, and they had about 3/4 of a mile going towards the water, going, you know, flattened. You had oak trees, brush, and everything, and they used to cultivate. Everybody used to cultivate corn. That spot was always good for 2-3 coveys of quail. With the dogs, you know.
Pappy, when you were there with your farm, did you do any business with the farm at the, I think Lindsley?
Whose farm is this?
That's the farmhouse. I think the Lindsley family, the White family owned that. That's the house we're trying to save. Did you do any business did your farm do any business with that house, with that farm?
What was his name?
I think it was White or Lindsley. They had the place, they bought it about the same time as you bought the Romano.
Well, what did they do?
I don't know. We're trying to find things like
Where
that.
was it located?
It was
on
located
Camp
right
Avenue?
about...
Camp Avenue, Newcomb?
It was beyond Newcomb. It was right about here.
Oh, you're talking
And your
George.
farm was here.
You're talking about Wickford.
No, this is Allen Harbor right here. It was just right next to Allen Harbor.
This is next to Allen Harbor?
Right next to Allen Harbor, over here.
No, we had nothing to do with business with him. No, but we used to go to Allen's Harbor a lot because we used to go down there to go fishing with this John and stuff like that. And he used to come down the farm too. All those people used to come down the farm. But this one here, that's the old place you're trying to save, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Now that way there, I don't think it's going to take too much money to. I know construction. Like Green said, the inside of this place is sound. It's a cardboard salt about it. Well, if you've got good foundation, it's only got a cardboard. And hey, you can get a lot of volunteers to do that. You should.
Yeah, but this is the year 2001. They say it'll take $250,000.
$250,000.
To get this place running again. We needed someone like you.
What do you mean? How did $250,000?
No, not your money. The guy that never says no.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I spent about $52,000 in the last 12 years. Fighting Fort Barton, fighting everything. I got my picture taken with Giuliano out of New York, and the Lincoln Armand, the Sheraton Hotel. You know what I told him? I says, I rose between two thrones, and I wasn't wrong. Look at Giuliano, what the hell he's doing to his wife. She's a good lady. You know what I mean? I was married 59 years to one woman. And when she was sick with Alzheimer's disease, I took care of her. She didn't go into no convalescent home, and we had her. I was only getting 3 hours sleep fighting Fort Barton. I had to do my own research and everything.
That's a pity, Happy. We're going to draw this to a close pretty soon.
Well, what else you want to know about Quonset?
Any other questions about
Quonset?
the farm? Ron?
I got a question about the house that was on the corner of Newcomb Road and Post Road. You said it had a wall going up by it, and I think there used to be a place called Captain Steve's Pub at the Getty gas station now. There was an old cemetery right there, and they moved it. The name of the family on the stone was Fones, F-O-N-E-S, and it went way back. So it's right.
I don't remember the name, but I recall the house.
Yep.
You see, all those houses, people, every house, farmhouse, had a cemetery. Now, we had a small cemetery. My sister was buried there. They did away with that.
They moved that? They moved
Sure. No, they didn't move.
They just did away with it?
Just get away with it. And they did away with a lot of them. I'm telling you, I was down there. I had charged all the loan equipment. As a matter of fact, when Davisville, Curtis, when he came down, he says, how do you like the job? I says, I don't mind the job. I says, boys are catching bullets. But I says, I'm not getting enough money. He says, why? I said, I'm only getting $65 top dollar, $65 a week. The only guy was more than that was the head engineer, and that was, he graduated from Purdue. And we had, most people used to get, average engineer was getting 45. You know what I mean? Men was getting, if you wanted to work in a Quonset as a labor, you got 65 cents. If you had to be trained outside the Quonset before you went in there, you only made 50 cents. There wasn't that much money around. So I said, there's no insurance those days. We didn't have any insurance those days. So he says, what's the matter? So I said, I need more money. So he said, no, you're going to put another job on me. I said, Mr. Miller says I can't buy no oil, but 40 oil from Ring-Free Oil. You got to put my kitchen tent up there. I said, I can make from 30, I can make 20 to 10. I mean, from 40, I could go from 40 to 30, 30 to 20 to 10, and then discard it. I said, get the formulas out of Washington, and we'll do it. So I said to Mr. Curtis, he said, I can't do that. I said, why not? I said, this is one project, that's another project. Over there, that's an oil business, and this is a base. He says, I'll take it over. In about 2 weeks, I got the 2 pays. But I could sell a bill of goods. I was a good salesman. But I wouldn't gyp nobody. I never gypped anybody. I always helped anybody. I'll show you how I didn't gyp anybody. This guy in Scully Square in Boston, he says, when you can give me wine for $2.50 a case, he says, I'll buy 100 cases. So one day I had a Wall Street Journal in my hand, vinegar, $2.50 a case. So I put some vinegar that I had bottled. I said, yeah, I'll put your private label on, all right? He said, yeah. I said, give me your private label. So I put his label on. So I put a half a dozen cases of good wine on the truck. So he wants to pick a box like that. You go to work, you know just the ones that get. So he did his box, he took it all in. When he started to sell it, they started complaining, vinegar. It cost me up. So I went to see him. He says, you sold me vinegar. There's the journal, $2.50 a case. So I said, I'll tell you what I'll do with you. I said, I said, I'll give you 100 for $2.50 a case, but you're going to buy another 100. You'll get good wine. Then I got in there, and I got all the stores. I didn't stick them.
I think you did.
I didn't stick them. But anyway, about Quonset, I want to tell you people right here, there's no country in the world can beat the melting pot we got in this country and their brains. When they may fight Democrats or Republicans or whatever else they are, but when a war comes in, like it came in like we had on us in such a hurry, they can get together. What a camaraderie you can get. If there was a spoiler, he didn't last. We bounced him. We all worked together. So you had to pick of all nationalities of what they knew. There were Germans, Italians, Yankees, colored. I didn't care what they had. I had a colored crew come out of Pennsylvania. You belonged to the Union. Dock builders down here. I was even a pile driver down here. When one job stopped, I went to another job. And anybody had a half a brain in Quonset. He had a panorama of anything that went on down Quonset. He learned. He knew just what to do. You know what I mean? We built a place near in Quonset on the further end. They were collected human stuff for methane gas in case, and nobody, I don't think anybody knows about it here, in case they bombed our base, that we still had gas to work with. Then we had a trench from the docks all the way down, all the pipes in, that people could walk through and get around. The docks, we built 3 docks down there. So when I got through working for the Navy, I went to see this fellow, Scungio. His folks own the Ford place now, the descendants. He was the head man down there. I said, I need a job. So he said, can you do this work? I said, no, what the heck, you gotta have brains and be a dock builder. I said, I see how they're doing it. He says, all right, come on. So they did. They put me on there. In a short while, I was ahead of the lead. They had me on the leads. Before you know it, I was super on one of the foreman on one of the fire drivers. So they used to be all impregnated with creosote under pressure. So they were talking about, oh, I can put more pounds than you can, blah, 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 blah. I said, what are you talking about? I said, I can put more than anywhere you can. So they took me up for it. So you know what I did? They used to squirt water on them too, you know, keep them from the sun so they wouldn't catch fire. Cool them down. So I took my crew, we went down where they were all piled up, we picked all those straight ones. The other ones that were crooked like that, we like to put them on the side. So we filled our barge up with all the straight ones. You have to be ahead of the curve, otherwise you're behind. So we put them on our barge. We went down there, once you put them on the hammer, bing, 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 bing. They'd have to go like this, like that. Sometimes they spend about 15, 20 minutes before the way the mud moved the rest of. So we beat them. So they were all experienced men. I had a bunch of greenhorns. So, but the funny part was, we needed help. So we had to get help wherever we could get. So Captain Miller sent this fellow by the name of Grant to Maine. And he come back empty-handed. They didn't want to come down here to work because they figured they wasn't going to make much money, this and that. So he come back, Captain Miller said, we didn't get no men. He said, we need men. I said, I'll take a ride up there. So I talked to him like a farmer. I didn't talk to him like a salesman. I talked to him like a wood chopper. So I got a father and a son. I said, tell what I'll do with you. I'll pay you so much money right off the bat. You're going to make twice more than this when you get down there. Then look, I says, you come down and work. Then you come back here and show them the Million Maid and tell them how good it is. So I got all the down wood choppers I could get. I had to send them away after that. But you know what the son of them used to do? You know, we used to work long hours. We were working, I was on the base on 24-hour call all the time. And wherever there was any trouble, I had to get out of bed to go there. Sometimes I'd go on my long johns in a hurry. But I'm not kidding you. I come out on that runway, and 2 days before, when they were changing the guards, from Marines to civilians, changing the guards, the civilian guard got shot, died. There was these 2 Southerners with a fold-down windshield on the Jeep, the machine gun. I got a machine with a light slit. There was in the cove there, near Dave Old Square over there, had a barge coming in from New York. I had to guide it in. Halt, who's it? I put my hand up in a hurry. I said, friend or foe? Why'd you see my hands up? I'm friend. My lights are lit. So they come over there. You had your badge and everything, you know, like that. So we worked. When we got through with Quonset, then we went to Davisville, and we were building torpedo racks, and then we were building those octagon things you put between the ships for bumpers. And we worked over there. We was working. You go there in the morning, and you wait till 12 o'clock. Then they take it to the diner, Moon Diner, used to be right at the end of Camp Avenue, over there, for some of you people know. And then we used to go to one on near where Route 2 is, over there. Another place over there to eat. And they used to pick us up in the bus, because they wouldn't let you off, because they want you back. and we worked. And I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you something. Anybody that came your size, when you get out of there, you was a thin man. I'll tell you.
One more question here.
I was a skinny guy in those days.
What was the question?
We're drawing to a close now. Another question on nothing like that. Well, I'd like to thank you very much, Effie.
Okay.
It's time to, but what we could do,
You should have him back again for another time, because I think you should actually have him show you on the map